Okay, you guys, welcome. It's good to be with you all. Good to be together. We'll start with a really quick centering, and then we're going to go into the first level of teaching of the pain body. And if you've never heard of the pain body or you don't know what that is, that's what we're going to establish. We're doing just some basic discussion about pain body and some high-level teaching about what you do if you find that you're in a pain body. So if you will, just come into your breath, take your breath into that low chest, upper belly area so that you can listen from your heart rather than try to figure it all out with your mind. Deep breath into that low upper belly, low chest area. And if you will, take a nice slow exhale through the mouth. A couple more of those. Inhale into that low chest, upper belly. Exhale slowly. Deep breath into that upper belly. Nice slow exhale. Last one like that. If you will, just notice what your body feels like after just 4 breaths. 4 conscious breaths with a long exhale into that vagus nerve area. That space where your breath can tone the vagus nerve, sending the signal up to your brain. Everything's safe. We're good. Just see if you can feel what that regulated state after just a few breaths can feel like in your body. Good. So once we train ourselves to access the state of presence, it's really just a few breaths, a few conscious, sacred, aware breaths away. It feels like it's pretty far away when we're spun up mentally or emotionally. But really what we know, what we can do with the nervous system, with our breath, we can hack the we can hack the autonomic nervous system. This is the most fascinating science of the breath, and it's so simple. Our autonomic nervous system, it governs our cardiovascular, like our heart rate, it governs our immune system, our digestion, our hormones, everything, right? On autopilot. So that when we have a stress response, everything is active in a state of fight or flight. But the one system of the autonomic nervous system that we can voluntarily control is the respiratory system. And so the way to hack that intense fight or flight experience is through the respiratory system to regulate the heart back into a coherent pattern, to regulate the immune system, the digestion, everything can be reset and so quickly if we can bring ourselves into a state of presence or awareness that we're in fight or flight. And that's usually where we all struggle, because once we get spun up, we're like gone for like days or years or decades, really, right? And I think that's relevant to the topic today. It's very relevant, actually, because what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick study of 6 of the most profound pages of Eckahart Tolle's A New Earth. In this best-selling book, there's 6 pages of really deep and profound spiritual wisdom. In fact, it blows my mind that this wisdom went so mainstream that Eckahart Tolle is a household name. Because when you go into the words on these pages I'm about to share with you, and I am not going to summarize them because I cannot do them justice. We're gonna we're going to digest word for word what he says. And I revisit these words frequently because the way that he describes it is just, it's like the most profound spiritual truths, energetic body truths. So that's what we're going to go into. And while I'm reading it, I will digest it with you so that we can all really understand what the pain body is. From an inner alignment perspective, personally, I break down the koshas, which is the yogic word for it, which is the 5 layers of the body. I break down the 5 layers of the body into 6, where yoga will see manomaya kosha, which is the mental and emotional layer, as the same layer. I separate them out in our model because of the pain body, because the emotional layer of the body has an energetic life of its own in some circumstances. That's very different than how the mind or the mental body works. Most often, I walk into the kitchen and one of my teenagers left all their food out on the counter. I see the food and I'm like, damn it, someone left all this food out on the counter. So I see it and I have a thought, you shouldn't leave food out on the counter. And then that thought creates a bunch of emotion. Okay. So often the mind and the thoughts will create emotion, but not in the case of the pain body. The pain body is a tsunami of energetic and emotional energy that takes over and then feeds on the thoughts of the mind. And that is a very different dynamic. And the way that we intervene in the pain body is very different, in my experience, than the way you work with thoughts. So let's go. So on pages 145 to 161 of A New Earth, Eckahart says, the pain body awakens from its dormancy when it gets hungry, when it's time to replenish itself on the most insignificant event as a trigger. Sometimes somebody says or does something, or even a thought. Suddenly your thinking becomes deeply negative. You were most likely unaware that just prior to the influx of negative thinking, a wave of emotion invaded your mind as a dark, heavy mood, as anxiety or fiery anger. All thought is energy, and the pain body is now feeding on the energy of your thoughts, but it cannot feed on just any thought. A happy, positive thought is indigestible to the pain body. It can only feed on negative thoughts because only those thoughts are compatible with its own energy field. The vibrational frequency of the pain body resonates with that of negative thoughts, which is why only those thoughts can feed the pain body. The usual pattern of thought creating emotion is reversed in the case of the pain body, at least initially. Emotion from the pain body quickly gains control of your thinking. And once your mind has been taken over by the pain body, your thinking becomes negative. The voice in your head will be telling sad, anxious, or angry stories about yourself, about other people, about the past, future, or imaginary events. The voice will be blaming, accusing, complaining, imagining, catastrophizing. And you are totally identified with whatever the voice says, believing all of its distorted thoughts. At that point, the addiction to unhappiness has set in. It's not so much you cannot stop your train of negative thoughts, but that you don't want to. This is because the pain body at that time is living through you, pretending to be you. And to the pain body, pain is pleasure. It eagerly devours every negative thought. In fact, the usual voice in your head has now become the voice of the pain body. It has taken over the internal dialogue. A vicious circle becomes established between the pain body and your thinking. Every thought feeds the pain body. And in turn, the pain body generates more thoughts. At some point, after a few hours or a few days, it has replenished itself and returns back to its dormant stage, leaving behind a depleted organism and a body that is much more susceptible to illness. Listen, guys, if that sounds like a psychic parasite, you are right. That's exactly what it is. The beginning of freedom. Okay, so let's just go back to this, right? Let's just play with this. So it's dormant, it rears up as emotion. And I would say it's the intersection of the emotional layer of the body and the energetic layer of the body, because there is significant sensation. When I say tsunami, it feels like you're being engulfed in this frequency. And the emotion, the pain body, is actually causing the negative thoughts, and it cannot feed on anything positive. No positive informations or affirmations are going to get in and really stop this. It spits out anything positive. I was just working with someone yesterday, and they were in a panic attack. And when they thought, oh, bring in this tool, the pain body spit the tool back out. It was indigestible to that person. Why? Because a pain body does not want to feel better. It's addicted to feeling worse. And the biggest problem is that we actually believe all of the thoughts it's giving us, and we get addicted. It's almost like we want more of it, and we want more of it, and we want more of it. And we think we are those thoughts. We're completely, in our language, we call it merged with the pain body, meaning the pain body's thoughts and feelings are getting confused as what Kim's thoughts and feelings are. We think we are the monster. So we don't want to stop. And the more momentum that a pain body gets, it feeds and it gets bigger and bigger, like a train gaining speed. It just gains so much momentum that the longer you let a pain body feed, the more it takes over you, the more it feels impossible to stop the G-force of the pain body. So that usual voice in your head is how the pain body sounds. So the thoughts of the pain body sound like your inner voice. And so it's very easy to think that these are your thoughts because it sounds like you. And then once this pain body has taken over and fed the negative through you, you are like a depleted plop-a-lop at the end. Like an empty, drained of prana, there's nothing left. And when there's nothing left, that is the best and most fertile ground for illness and disease, dis-ease to set in to the mind, to the body, to the energy field. And what I love is right here in the middle of a best-selling book, he calls out, if you think this is a psychic parasite, you're right. It's exactly what it is. And what he's saying is this is not you. This is something that just got into your field, acted as an imposter of you, to you, and just took over. It's a parasite. And that's going to be one of the most important ways to stop it. If you actually believe it's you, then what's going to happen is it's going to now attack you, or you are going to attack you with whatever you do: self-judgment, self-hatred, self-doubt, self-deprecation, self-sabotage. Why? because you thought that that big monster that just came in and created a whirlwind of destruction was you. Now, that does not mean you are not responsible for what you did when you were under the influence of a pain body. We are always responsible, even if we were swept up and taken away, right? Like if I get drunk and act like an idiot and say terrible things, I may have been under the influence, but I'm still responsible for what I said, right? Same is true for a pain body. Even though that was not me and not my thoughts and not my energy sweep, I'm still responsible. And in spiritual communities, things get really bypassed very easily. So I just want to honor our responsibility for the carnage post-pain body. Are there any questions about what a pain body is? Do you all remember back to where your hottest pain bodies have been in your life? And when you look back, can you identify that that really wasn't you? That wasn't your soul's thoughts. That wasn't your soul's desire. That wasn't your soul or heart's intention. So the disidentification with the pain body is absolutely critical. The beginning of freedom from the pain body lies in the realization that you have a pain body. Then in your ability to stay present enough, alert enough, aware enough to notice the pain body in yourself as a heavy influx of negative emotion when it becomes active. When it's recognized, it can no longer pretend to be you and live and renew itself through you. So by identifying, oh, I'm under the influence of a pain body, just that realization alone separates you, unmerges you from the pain body. And now the pain body can't distort or veil itself as you. And therefore it can't live and work through you anymore because you see yourself as separate from it. It's your conscious presence that breaks the identification with the pain body. When you don't identify with it, the pain body can no longer control your thinking and cannot renew itself anymore by feeding on your thoughts. It can't delude you into thinking that it's you. The pain body may not dissolve immediately. Okay, if we look at the neuroscience of emotion, it can't dissolve itself because the neural pathways have been fired. The neurochemicals in your body are now pulsing. Hormones are pulsing through, stress hormones. I'm not enough. I'm a bad person. You're bad. All of that is pulsing through the neurochemistry of your body. So just because you're aware doesn't mean your brain and body has caught up with that conscious awareness, body awareness. But once you've severed the link between it and your thinking, the pain body begins to lose energy. The energy that was trapped in the pain body then changes its vibrational frequency and it's transmuted into presence, present awareness. So it's like something got into your field, this big barking, grumpy dog, and you're scared and it's scared, right? And you're like, you get caught up. You think you are the vicious dog or you're under attack by the dog. But as soon as your awareness comes into play of like, there's a dog in my field or my vicious dog is up, then at that point, it can't live or move through you, and it starts to release gradually from your field. And then what you find is that, and this is, I don't have this capability, but I worked with someone once who it felt like a barky dog. And then as soon as she disidentified with that barky dog pain body, she saw this little gray speck in her field. And she saw the speck leave. So someone just said, what is a psychic parasite? It's a little gray speck that enters your field with a little distortion, Maya illusion. And if you have a trauma packet or a belief of I'm a bad person or I'm unlovable or I'm unworthy, now this is how the pain body and the trauma packet start to interplay with each other. If you resonate at any level with the pain body's thoughts, then you're going to buy it. You're going to believe it. You're going to merge right with it. But if you've done enough of your trauma packet work and you've rewired your brain and body to know who you are, even in the space of the most heinous behavior, then when the pain body comes to feed, your awareness will be solid enough to be like, and then be like, but hold up, wait a minute, I'm fired, right? Like, oh, there will be a pause, there'll be presence in there. And you'll be like, nah, not today, pain body. But the key is to not get too gobbled up, not to get too much momentum. The key to the pain body is to notice it as quickly as possible. So in our work and in our alignment, we help people identify what is the chain, like what's the trigger and the vibration and the thoughts, and like what does it look like objectively when this type of pain body takes over? Let's name that. Let's start to identify when it shows up. Let's give it a space at the table of your shadow. So most people are like, ew, my shadow, but let's fix this so I never have to face it again. Well, I mean, if you have a rage pain body, every time you hit PMS or whatever, it could be chemically induced. It could be situationally induced. It can be seasonally induced. Then if you know, oh, there's this thing that likes to feed on my field under these conditions, and I can notice it early when I start thinking paranoid thoughts. If you have air constitution, soon as paranoia comes in, there's probably a pain body at play. People with fire or pit in their constitution, as soon as that rage and blame and controlling stuff starts to come up, chances are there's a pain body hanging out. Or if you have a lot of earth in your constitution, you're super watery and you find yourself gobbled up in sentimental, sad emotion, and it's playing its own play, chances are there's a pain body coming. So it is different based on your Joshic or energetic makeup. It's different for all of us. But here's the practice. As soon as you find yourself dysregulated or in a negative thought, emotion, or energetic vibration, it will be very easy to pin it on someone else, but it's never about the external world. It's always about what is my vibration and how did I lose connection to myself? And if we have a morning practice, that's the easiest place to catch ourselves. Or an evening practice. At least once or twice a day, we need to be checking in and being like, hey, self, how are we doing? What are we worked up about? Now, if you're automatically trying to change those negative emotions to positive emotion, then you're not going to be able to really tap in and be like, woo, I got a big hankering pain body that's rearing, right? Or if we're scared of the pain body because the pain body is made up of the vibration of fear, then we're not going to be able to kind of like say, all right, pull up a seat to my table. Let's see what's going on here. So that inner reflection, the svadhyaya, the niyamas and the yamas are the way to come back into this self-reflection, self-connection. Before we do our pranayama or breath work to blow the smoke out, we want to be like, what's causing the fire? And so we can connect into it. We can breathe into our hijacked nervous system and regulate ourselves. We can come into awareness body and be like, wow, Kim, what's going on? You're really worked up about the kitchen. It's really just some dishes. You okay? What's really going on? Oh, I got triggered into a pain body last night when so-and-so said something. I reared up. Okay. Tracing back, when did the pain body start? Feeling into my body. What does the pain body feel like? What is the sensation? There is no coincidence to where that sensation is and what chakra in the body it is connected to, because we know the trauma packets live somewhere in there. It's all interconnected. So we notice we're in a pain body. We regulate our nervous system with those 4 breaths. If you go to the video on my YouTube on empath, we manage the interference energy and work with the violet flame. And we come back into the reality of like, that's not me. Even though I can't feel my goodness right now, even though I can't feel lovable or worthy or whatever it is, my enoughness, somewhere I know I'm enough and I'm good and I'm okay. How can I get back into that right here? The power of now, the power of presence, the power of coming back into our hearts with ourselves. So we can remember conversations with God, so we can remember really who and what we are. We are not the interference energy. We are not the pain body. We are not those big, loud vibrations. That is not me. And so long as I merge with that and believe that that's me, I will be spun up. But the moment that I realized that I just simply hooked into a little cloud and got confused that my husband was that cloud or that I was that cloud, as soon as I pull my ego out of this illusion, then I can come back into me and just be okay right here in this moment and regulate myself and take care of myself. Self-compassion is a really advanced concept if you think about it. First, we actually have to understand what the heck is going on. Why did I just become a crazy monster yesterday, right? We have some level of understanding of our doshas, of our trauma packets, of interference energy, of pain bodies. We have to understand this so we don't think we are it. So once we understand them, maybe we can forgive ourselves. Please forgive me for what I did under the influence of my pain body. I forgive myself for what I did under the influence of my pain body. I love you. I love me. So we understand we can forgive ourselves. And then we can start to love and accept ourselves. And then projectively, we can love and accept other people. And that's our theme for next week. What do you do when someone else's pain body is chewing on your energy field? First, we need to develop enough awareness of our own pain body and know that that's not me. So that projectively, when someone else is under the influence, we can be like, oh, they got gobbled up. I feel bad for them. They're going to be exhausted for days after that. Compassion. Compassion can only come, in my opinion, if there's a deep and profound understanding of the human condition. There is no one that is exempt to this. They may be unaware of it, but this is a fundamental human condition that we all struggle with until we're enlightened. And I don't know about you, but so thank you all for being with me through this teaching. There is a pain body practice, and we'll do the practice next week as well. But we had to develop the fundamental understanding of what Eckahart Tolle has so beautifully given us the understanding of. But like so much research, Bessel van der Kolk tells us the body keeps the score and that trauma's in the body. And Peter Levine and Eckahart Tolle tells us about the pain body. There are so many concepts that we can work with. But what I find is that there aren't too many solutions that are out there showing us what do we do with this. And that's what I have dedicated my entire life to, is creating systematic solutions that work at every layer of the body to heal the root of what confuses us in this human condition. Namaste, you guys. Many blessings. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Love you.